Yeah, beginning, I took a look at just a quick look at the topic, mindfulness and compassion. And of course, that is a important aspect of our practice, and aspect in terms of the qualities of the Buddha. These are, and when we say qualities of the Buddha, we're not. It's not just thinking about some historical figure who lived 2,500 years ago, but these are qualities of the awakened mind, the awakened heart, and or possibilities within every heart, every mind. And I think it's important and helpful to kind of bringing that up. Then these are fundamental qualities. Like mindfulness is of course, it's a buzzword in the society and the culture, but it's also pointing to an alertness, attention, waking up to experience in this present moment, and so this quality of being awake, being alert, being present, and then the quality of compassion, which is a sense of care, concern, say empathy and sympathy for all living beings, and that's an aspect of all of our hearts. Really, this is a fundamental quality that we can be tapping into. We can be taking as a refuge. So, because sometimes we try to it's kind of like flog ourselves into mindfulness and compassion, and sort of, okay, I got to whip myself into shape so I can be mindful and compassionate, and we overlook the fact that it's actually, if we could just get out of the way, we would be aware, awake. We'd be compassionate. We would be kind. We'd be say empathetically responsive to the world around us. It's a natural quality within the heart. So that sense of reminding ourselves and encouraging ourselves. So it's kind of also it's on a certain level, it's not so much of a say quality that we have to get, but it's an attitude that we can say establish or remind ourselves of, because sometimes when we think of, and we do this with all sorts of things, but assuming compassion is a thing that we have to get, and of course, then we get it, then we can have it. But it's it's good to question that in the sense of, no, this is it's an engagement like engaging our own hearts with compassion and engaging with the world with compassion. And that kind of changes the way we relate to it. And I think it's a lot softer, maybe, and a lot more alive because we have to figure out ways to make this, make this into something that is alive, and then also something that is lived, being able to live this mindfulness and compassion. And so these are aspects of for reflection, and of course it is. And when we speak of living, it's. I mean, to me, it's interesting. Like you read the Buddha's words on loving kindness, and to me, it's a very interesting sutta in this, particularly from that perspective, in the sense that it's not about you should be loving and kind at all times like this, and setting an ideal that we have to try to live up to. But it is sort of, no, this is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. To be able and upright, straightforward, gentle in speech. These are all things that we can be doing, we can be living, we can be embodying, and and that transforms us. The more we are able to just live our lives skillfully and with an intention of responding to, because classically the quality of compassion is a response to suffering, and that sense of wanting to alleviate suffering, one's own suffering and the suffering of others. Say loving kindness is traditionally sort of, one is wishing for the happiness of course they're all obviously interconnected, but I think it's that aspect of as a response to suffering is interesting, because of course the Buddha's foundational teachings, the Four Noble Truths, are very much concerned with dukkha, suffering, and the ending of suffering. And so compassion plays a huge role in that. And there's because when we pay attention to dukkha, in the sense of that, I mean, suffering is a bit strong, maybe, and but because it's much broader than that sense of discontent, dissatisfaction, dis-ease, stress. When we pay attention to that, the heart has to open to it, and that and there's I remember hearing a teaching that said that these teachings are for putting on your heart. And it's because when your heart opens, then they can fall in. And it's really beautiful, that image. So that the teachings of the Buddha are for putting on the heart, and then that directing attention, opening our hearts to experience, and being willing to acknowledge, recognize, be present with suffering. Then that, the heart opens, and we've got these teachings that can fall into the heart that is open. So it's a beautiful expression. And that sense, another word for compassion in the in the Buddha's teachings or discourses is the word anukampa, and it's like there's a very it comes up many places, and it's when the Buddha is encouraging his disciples to go forth and to teach, and for teaching out of compassion for the welfare and happiness of many. The word is anukampa, and the word means to, like, it's from a verb kampati, which means to tremble, and so anukampa is like to tremble with, to resonate with, to be shaken with, and that in the sense that one is moved by the plight of us all. I mean, we're if you ask anybody, or ask even ourselves before we started practicing, or ask anybody in your family, "Oh, are you suffering?" "Oh, no, everything's fine." And let's keep going. Let's not look at that. So but that willingness to resonate with, to tremble with the difficulties of this human existence, and to respond with kindness and compassion. It's such a beautiful response, and that's where taking the limitations of our human existence and turning them into benefit, turning them into that which allows us to grow in wisdom and discernment. So it's a very beautiful sentiment, and a very beautiful image to be bringing to mind. And so that sense of laying, and it has to have the foundation of mindfulness. It has to have that foundation of clarity and attention, so that when we, because you can't just leap over the hard work of making the mind peaceful, clear, stable, steady, open. It's and just and then all of a sudden manifest wisdom and compassion. You really have to get a feel for it, so that and then having the patience to be present with the mundane, with the ordinary, like how our mind tries to avoid it. So then the that sense of being able to resonate with the mind that wants to escape, to tremble with the mind that seeks distraction or gets irritated or averse. And those are, one can't just dismiss it. One has to own it. We have to open to it. And that's where, but we can't be, say, disturbed by that. We can't be upset by that. We can't be shocked by that. Sort of like the longer that one practices, the less likely one is to be shocked at some of the stupid things that come through one's mind. I mean, and that's wonderful, because then it's getting real, and it's not dismissing it, but it's okay. This is real. I mean, oftentimes people will come to me and say, "Oh, my practice is falling apart every time. I've got these. I've had such a difficult time. My mind is all over the place." I said, "Great." What do you mean, great? Well, this is real. This is the nature of having a human mind, having a human body, having a human existence, and that's the foundation of compassion. And that sense of being able to tremble with that and accepting it, to resonate with it. With that sympathy, kindness, and then recognizing, of course, I mean, the Buddha's teachings point this out, but they also point out the fact that there is a way out. There is an escape from all of this. There is a liberation that we can experience, and it's not something that is all that far or distant from us, whether in space or in time. It just is. That's one of the qualities of the Dhamma that we say, that we recite, and it's imminent here and now. It's tangible. It's possible. And of course, that's why compassion is such a important piece of the puzzle, because when we're able to establish compassion, then we'll tend to have a lot more patience with ourselves, patience with the world around us, and that's a huge piece of the puzzle of one of the fundamental teachings of the Buddha, there's a Kanti Paramang Tapotitika. It's sort of it's in his. It's like a teaching that the Buddha gives, where he's condensing things down into just little nuggets, and that's and so in that they say patience is the foremost quality for the you know, freeing the mind from its entanglements. It's a and so compassion is very much a part of that, and so the sense of lifting that up into the heart and reminding ourselves that is a quality to be to be cherished and to be pay attention to. So when we sit, just as an example, I mean, people will have different techniques or methods that of meditation that they use. I tend to rely on mindfulness of breathing, so that but just using the breath as a vehicle for one, establishing attention, but then also establishing that kind of attitude or perspective of, say, of compassion, so that and all practice really has to be grounded in the body. It's not, you can't, and the Buddha's teaching is quite I mean, the Buddha is extremely skillful in his teaching, but that so much of the teaching always coming back to the body, and mindfulness of breathing is a vehicle whereby the Buddha gives a path that takes one to knowledge and deliverance. So so that using that fundamental sensation of the breath coming in, the breath going out, and paying attention to it, not forcing attention, not scrambling to try to get attention, but just settling into that simple rhythm of the breath coming in and the breath going out. Breathing in, just holding that sensation, and just pay attention where it's most, say, obvious and most comfortable in that sense. Okay, for some people it might be tip of the nose, might be in the, say, the nasal cavity, back in the throat, in the chest, the abdomen. But however wherever one experiences it more predominantly, is to have a sense of ease of establishing attention there. And oftentimes and I do it myself, and I've heard it so many times with teachers of meditation. They'll use, watch the breath as it comes in, watch the breath as it goes out, and there's a to me that's a bit problematic already, because the Buddha himself, the predominant word that the Buddha uses is in the scriptural language is patisangveti, which means to experiencing the breath as it comes in, experiencing the breath as it goes out, experiencing the whole body, experiencing feelings, experiencing the mind. I mean, this is experiencing. And the Ajahn Jeff translates it as sensitive to, because the word is say literally it's sort of like the same root as feeling, and then both the other, say pati and sang are amplifiers, and vedeti is that root of feeling. Vedana is like feeling in the five aggregates of being. So feeling, and the other, so fully feeling the in-breath, fully feeling the out-breath, fully feeling the whole body, fully feeling actual feelings that we have, fully feeling sensitive to the mind. And so it's embodying the experience. So breathing in, breathing out, being willing to be present with. And as we attend to our experience in that way, then we can set that intention of, say, of compassion, of caring, of kindness, of trembling with, sensitive to, and that allows us to hold our experience in having a container to hold our experience, and the bigger the container, then the more skillful or the more comfortable we can experience these different aspects of our being, which, you know, happiness is one, suffering is another, having a kind of neutral experience. I mean, these are all just aspects of experience, and we experience the things that we like or we dislike, or we want or we don't want, we approve of, we don't approve of, and we tend to start proliferating from that. We start moving out of that space and creating a story, and whether it's the story of our successes or the story of our failures, it's always about me, and that's really worthy of compassion. So just a sense, holding it with that quality of kindness, of compassion. We can be present with it. We can recognize it. We can acknowledge and see it clearly, and we can let it go. As I remember Ajahn Chah, my teacher, saying, he said, well, there's only two, people complain about how hard the practice is, or so, difficult and complicated it is. And he said, It's not. There's only two things you need to do. All you need to do is know and let go. And, and but of course, there's a few details in that knowing and the details in the letting go. But it's helpful to remind ourselves to try to keep things simple, try to keep them straightforward, try to keep them uncomplicated. That's one of the injunctions that the Buddha gave one time. Do not complicate the uncomplicated. Don't proliferate on that which doesn't need to be proliferated on. The mind doesn't need to be proliferated. The world doesn't need to be proliferated on. So it's keeping it simple, keeping it straightforward. And of course, one of the keys to doing that is this quality of compassion, because then it's got an appropriate, skillful container to hold it and to respond to our experience in a skillful way. And that sense of trembling with, that kindness, that openness, recognition, but not buying into the story, not getting hooked by the drama of it, and then we keep returning to mindfulness and compassion, the knowing and the kindness, because that letting go is an incredible kindness. You can't let go out of aversion. It's going to come back and bite you. You have to let go out of compassion. You have to let go with kindness. And that's it's just such a, essential tool in our practice. And that returning to the breath, that simple rhythm, the breath coming in, breath going out, the establishing of a posture of uprightness without getting stiff and tight or tense, but an uprightness so that there is one's alert, one is present, and then one can just returning to the knowing, returning to that quality of awareness. So these are some perspectives on directing attention, establishing mindfulness, and perhaps we can just sit quietly now as a meditation and let some of this settle. Let some of it fall into the heart and see where it goes. So we can sit quietly for a while.